bit or
Right here. What's up, everybody? This is your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. I'm coming to you live from Panama. Listen, you guys, it was a great event. Scale It Up Summit was great, talking about real estate. I loved coming in there being doom and gloom. I gave them the microeconomics. I gave them the scary stats. I gave them the retirees. I didn't come in there to motivate them. I came in there to show them the real stuff. So they loved it. Everybody gave me a pat on the back. They were like, thanks. I've never heard those numbers before. So listen, if you guys are here in the chat, man, you know what to do. This is the Classy Climb Show. Hit the like button. Drop your city and state in the chat. They're already saying Cappy, Cappy. I see you guys in the chat already cutting up. But listen, drop your city and state in the chat and drop a one if you can hear us well. We want to make sure our audio is perfect. Good morning, Aaron,
morning.
Clarey.
I'm, grumpiest Gen X. Fine, I will own it, but I want to let the record show I have a Hawaiian shirt on, and I just woke up 30 minutes ago, and I have my Tigger coffee mug. You know, I'm trying to be less grumpy today. I'm trying to be the happiest, grumpiest Gen Xer ever. So, good morning.
So the reason I bring up the grumpiest Gen Xer ever is so many people say that, and it's so funny because they do these studies. And again, we always go over the numbers. Gen X is 40 to 55 years old right now, and they are the most in debt. Right? People think it's millennials. Nope, it's Gen X is the most in debt. They're not very happy on surveys. They say a lot of stuff, and I go, well, what's happening? So I started dissecting that, and Gen X is still going to school, going back to college for degrees, not paying off their old degrees. Uh, I think it's something we can learn from.
I
So,
presume they're also caught up in their like prime age candidacy to be in the thick of keeping up with the Joneses.
yes,
And
that part is, I
that's
think,
where
what's
most of the
happening.
dead, right.
Yeah. And so I'm going to name off some of the books you've created just because I think it's important for our class to know that. Thank you guys for make sure you drop your city and state in the chats. All right. Some of the books he has is Enjoy the Decline, The Curse of the High IQ. I love that. Poor Richard's Retirement. I've talked about it here on the class. Worthless, the indispensable. I can't even see the rest of the title. Worthless is basically talking about degrees.
Yeah, don't major in dumb stuff. That's
Don't
that
major in
book.
dumb stuff.
Yeah.
The Reconnaissance Man. One of his most controversial is The Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty. And was that our little short dude out of
How?
Chicago in the photo cover?
Yeah, that's Marcus. Yeah. How is that controversial?
I don't know.
Is there a
Every time I
contingent
bring
of
it up,
people that want to put black men into poverty?
it's crazy.
It should be not controversial at all. But yeah, that's Marcus on the cover. Yeah, good old Marcus.
And then you have most recent is Bachelor Pad. Well, not most recent, but Bachelor Pad Economics is what you're most famous for, I think. And then the lately is the Book of Numbers. Right. And then I forgot the most latest. I think it's the Menu.
The menu, yeah. The latest is the Menu, which was a mere. I would say it's an essay, not really a book. It's a short piece, but yeah, that's the latest publication I made. I wouldn't necessarily call it a book.
Got you. Well, the one that literally blew my mind, but didn't. I had moved to Austin, Texas, and I lived with a bunch of engineers and finance women who were making 150, and they dated the most nerdy little guys from their work. And people were like, "Why are they dating that guy?" And I go, "He's making money. She's making money. He's making money. It makes sense." And the curse of the high IQ came to mind. I kept dating guys who were awkward, incredibly smart, socially awkward, salt of the earth sweet, and people like, just marry one of those. And I'd go, oh God, Jesus, I can't, you guys. It's a guy I can barely take him anywhere. He starts sweating. He can't even dance, And so when I got that book, I was like, oh, it all makes sense now, because I've been tested early on. I did all AP classes. Basically, I went to college for absolutely free off scholarships, for straight A's. And people are like, oh, that's just because you're smart.
Like, yeah, it kind of is. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things I've been trying to understand out here is the debt, man. People have crazy level debt. Now, if you could just give our audience a little kind of like a short summary of how you got to freedom here on the microphone on YouTube, talk to us.
Oh God, that by complete accident, kind of really. The freedom, it's half frugality and fiscal discipline. So that's true. And I built a new house. I always told people that, well, okay, they'd be like, oh, you must be doing well to build a new house with your podcast. Like, no, you guys don't understand. I bought property when I was 24, rental property. I lived in basements, renovated the basements out, and that's what afforded the house. But everything inside the house, because also now I got a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, which actually isn't that big, but I only have enough stuff to furnish a 1-bedroom apartment. I'm like, oh crap, I got to buy furniture. Everything was financed with book sales and things like that, the more modern stuff that I've done. But yeah, how I got to freedom is being frugal and investing in property early on when it was affordable and wasn't ridiculous. Living in multi-unit housing, so I'd live in one unit and rent out the other units, and just paying cash for cars and never spending more than I made, and making that a hobby, and just basically abandoning materialism at a very early age, because you're kind of forced to when you don't have money. And then as the internet expanded, we went from blogging to podcasting to now YouTubing. As the bandwidth expanded, I started blogging in 2004, and so that kind of laid down the infrastructure to have a audience that followed me along. And people generally tuned in for financial advice. And my financial advice was one of minimalism. I predicted the housing bubble, basically bursting everybody's bubble about how I'm going to make it rich. I just destroyed people's get rich quick schemes, whether that was going to college for stupid degrees, or I'm going to flip property houses, bra, in the housing
frat
bubble.
bro
Yeah, frat bros.
thing
Yeah, sure.
is the most popular thing everybody.
Yep. Hey,
There
brah, did you major in marketing, brah? Well, if you take flippity flops housing course, and then it's like, no, man, it's a marathon. So kind of shooting holes in that, sinking that, and the education bubble, and just it's boring. It's Warren Buffett type of stuff, and so I've gotten a group of people over coming up on 20 years now that I can do this. So as the economy changes and that change, society changes, I write books that kind of like, okay, here's how you kind of navigate this. And yeah, and not, of course, obviously with self-publishing, that was very key. So that's kind of how I ended up here. But originally I was an economist and an analyst in banking. And so at one time I had a real job. At one time I was a real worker, but now I do this.
One of the things that really resonated with me when I was watching your channels, you were talking about HR. And the funniest story, I got to tell you this story. This is so ridiculous. And I've told my audience this a million times. I was working in Section 8, like brand new apartments in Pflugerville, Texas, in Section 8 housing. And we had this girl come in. This is Texas now, roaring Texas economy. She comes in and she's like, yeah, I just graduated with my master's degree in HR. And everybody in the office is like, congratulations, knowing this girl's got 2 kids, never been married. Only thing she's ever done is go to college. She's like 24. And we say, oh my God, where are you going to work? She goes, well, if Texas wasn't in a recession, I could just work anywhere. And first we thought, is this a joke? Is she joking? We didn't know if she was like telling us a joke. So we just kind of froze. And then I go, well, girl, HR, you can go work at HEB, Lowe's, Home Depot,
any company,
fastest growing companies ever. She had her nose stink like, HEB, the grocery store, Home Depot, Lowe's. She's like, oh no, I want to work in an office. And I just like, you've never had a job. You have 2 kids. You live in Section 8 voucher on a luxury apartment. Take your butt and go get a job. Like, stop it.
And what did she? It shows you how naive she is. Well, HR people are just so stupid anyway. But these companies have offices. It's not like if you're a cattle slaughter company, there isn't an office or a headquarters where you would sit. I just for what she was thinking. I don't know what she was thinking HR was. Yeah, you would. That's an office job. You're not going to be butchering cattle or hogs. If you work in HR, but that's HR. That's how dumb they are.
It was just the most insane thing I've ever heard. And I was just like, girl, don't you know HR is going away? Like, this is like, I think 2014 when she said that. Yeah. I was like, they're figuring out every day how to get you guys out of here and like reduce your job. Like, there's automation right now where you can just online services that will do basically all your HR stuff, except for the in-person hire or whatever. But yeah, it just blew my mind. And so at that point I realized, like, mindset is everything. Mindset is everything. So part of the last crash, which was so crazy, a stat that I loved was when they would go to bankruptcy court and they'd find out, okay, hey, how much was the average family that filed bankruptcy or crashed in the 2008 crash? How much were they short a month? The number was $500. And so when I would see, I'm like, you guys were short $500 and you let it knock you off your home, your money, everything. And that's when I realized I'd listen to Dave Ramsey and people would call and be like, I can't get rid of the car. I can't get rid of the truck.
Truck,
I can't get rid of the minivan. We need
boat.
it. We need the RV. We need all
We
these
need
things.
it. Yes, yes.
We gotta have it. And I'm like, $500 or you losing your home?
Yeah,
Figure it out.
yeah, but okay, curse of the high IQ. See,
Mhm.
we, we're that little red guy on the bill distribution
Yeah.
curve, and you gotta remember there's a whole bunch of other people on the other side of that bell curve that are that stupid and very susceptible to marketing. And I guess what would we call it? Middle school mentality, popularity.
Mhm.
Which there is no difference. And my age, I've seen it. I've gone to like these prestigious developments where they have titles,
Mhm.
Willow Ways or Happy
Plantation
Pines. Yeah,
gardens.
yeah, some crap like that. And it doesn't matter if they're 46 or 14. It's the same thing. I need the Nike high top. So I guess I'm kind of dating myself. But now just tack on some more zeros. Well, wifey poo needs the Range Rover, and hubby needs his penis extender pickup truck. And so, and I'll tell you another thing. Well, you're Texas. I bet you this kind of happens if there's a lake nearby. There's garages. You hear these things called garages?
Yep.
Okay, so you know what they were built for? I hope you're sitting down. I'm glad you're sitting down. They were built to put vehicles inside. I know a development, flowery farts way, whatever they called it. I don't remember
Mhm.
what they called it. Where do you think people put their vehicles?
Oh my God. In their driveway now. I
They
haven't seen
put it in
people
the
use.
driveway, right? In part because they have a bunch of crap in their garage, but also because I've seen the garage doors go up. I'm like, why don't they park it? They want to
Full of
show
crap.
off their vehicles. They want to
Mhm.
flaunt. And that is why. And that's because that's all they got. They don't have good people in their lives. The
Mhm.
spouses don't like each other. They don't bother raising their children. Children are stuck on a tablet or some kind of antidepressant drug. So all they have is the original programming they got and they fell for. And that is, I got to have not necessarily stuff, but prestigious stuff that I can
Mhm.
flash off and show. And so that's why they can't give it up to you and me and probably most of your audience. We're like, is that it? $500? I guess I'll pick up another shift a week. I'll
Mhm.
get a very, very part-time job to make those end meets. But they're lazy. They don't want to work. But the other thing is like they can't give up the truck. They can't give up the spending because that's all they have. And a perfect example would be the case of the gal that you mentioned before in HR. I don't even know if it was even she had any intention of working in HR. She just wanted to have the prestigious title of I have a master's degree in an
Mhm.
education. And so
Mhm.
I'm sure the American Psychological Association wouldn't call it a mental illness. I will call it a mental illness where you are that untethered from reality that it cripples you financially. But in either case, people are delusional, and that's why a $500 a month deficit is impossible for these people to overcome.
I'm gonna read off this super chat. Exceptional conversations with Nikki. Thank you for the 1999 super chat. She said, "Aaron Clarey in the building. I binge watched your videos right after I left the
Oh,
bank
bank.
to be home with my kids, and your comedic grumpiness helped me a lot."
All you girls calling me grumpy.
Thank you, Erica. Great job with this collab. Listen, I try to bring on, you guys have been requesting this. People, I have random guys come by and be like, she's kind of like Darren Clear. And I'm like, I'm going to bring that guy on this channel.
If she worked in banking, a lot of people don't know this. My first book was called Behind the Housing Crash, and she would love it if she worked in banking because I'm sure she would have ran into some of the same problems there. But I'm glad that I'm a popular grumpy person today. Very, very happy.
Listen, okay, so here's the thing. I'm the craziest part is daycare, right?
Yeah.
So I have this theory, and I've been telling people for a while. I'm trying to finish up this book, and I got to get an auditor to read it. Is the pendulum swings back, right? A lot of these women, the reason Kevin Samuels blew up is because a lot of these ladies were like, I'm going home. The pandemic came, and there was 1 month, I think it was December. Was it December 2020, where they had, I mean, like 780,000 people had lost their job, layoffs. 99.9% were women. And everybody said, "Oh, Erica, what are you talking about?" I'm saying women are going home, y'all. We're in administrative jobs. We're in a lot of jobs that are
Not
n-
critical, not
not
essential. No.
critical, not essential. Then you saw the Great Resignation, and then if you looked at the numbers, most of the people in the Great Resignation were women who were married.
Mhm.
And I said, guys, if the average daycare that I keep bumping into people, and they're like, "Yeah, I got 2 kids. Daycare is 2,500." If the 75 million Americans make $30,000 a year or less, what is the point of putting the kids in daycare if it's the equivalent of your wife's job?
It's now they've done studies of this quite some time ago, and it changes as the economy changes and
Mhm.
labor rates change. But somewhere between 50 and 75%, which I know is a large range, but at least half. No offense to you ladies, but I'm just trying to help you out. At least half of you are losing money working,
Mhm.
especially as government support and government programs have come in to subsidize people that have kids. But again, this reverts back to the prestige and pride and ego. Well, I have my degree, and a lot of women. If frankly, I'm sorry, ladies, you've been propagandized and lied to that the most important thing in your life is your education, and if you get around to it, your career. And so, sorry, I lost my train of thought. That's right. So I know that that's what your entire youth has been invested in, is this career. But the economics of it, it just isn't. I mean, it's economically feasible. You can lose money, but yeah, you're from an economic perspective, you're losing money. It was a waste of time. So if you can go home and raise your children, if you'd like that, it is an
Mhm.
option. But I don't know, Erica, did you know that kids are expensive? Did you know? Apparently, you can't just shoot them off the assembly line and they just go
Yep.
run off like a horse, baby horse. Yeah, gals, and I don't mean to bring up economics again, but if you all keep dumping off children in daycare, do you know what happens to the price of daycare? It goes up. And then when you get you think daycare is expensive now? Wait till the government starts flooding money with vouchers. It's going to be the same thing that happened to college. You all keep flooding markets with money, whether that's government money, scholarships, loans, debt, whatever, and you're surprised that a credit hour is $300. It's the same thing. Well, we need to get $1 trillion bill to flood the child care industry with, but it's going to go up. And what's really tragic, and it's not as simple as this. Of course, there's many women who have real jobs, for lack of a better word, and work in different industries. But a lot of you, do you understand that basically there is kind of a circle of why bother, where women are paying other women to take care of their children because
Bingo.
those women are too busy taking care of other women's children? And I mean the public schools, daycare, preschool, that entire pre-third grade kind of environment. And I'm thinking, why don't you just all take care of your kids? If you all just take care of your kids, it's cheaper. You remove the middleman, you remove this entire industry, and most of you will come out financially ahead. But again, I'm running headlong into pride.
Yes.
Women have invested almost 20 years in some cases into an education. They've been told by society that the number one thing that they should be to society is fill-in profession, HR, whatever, accountant, nonprofit worker. And it's not an opinion, but you're wrong. The most important thing is, if you have kids, is that you need to be a mother, because those are fellow human beings. They're your own flesh and blood, and you should go raise them. That's the most important thing. I don't care what people told you in the past. I don't care what Oprah, who is not a mother, I don't think she was ever a wife.
No.
All
She
right.
realized the money wise that didn't make no sense.
Okay, and at least Oprah's honest. She didn't have no kid. What's her name? The gal who was in charge of Yahoo at one time, like, she built a crib so her baby could be in the
In the
office with
office
her.
with her.
It's
She had
like,
twins.
yeah, it's like, you despicable person. Raise your kids, but okay, choose materialism. Choose a fancy Chanel handbag.
I think it's the debt. I think it's the college debt, right? Because I
Yeah,
read an
yeah.
article a
There's
couple.
that.
I
Yeah.
sent it to you where there are two women and they're in their 40s and 50s. One's in the 50s, one's in the 40s, and they still got 60, 80,000 in debt. I'm sorry. It's going to be hard for a dude to look at you that you're home chilling, not chilling. You're working hard raising these kids, and he's working to pay your debt, school
Yeah.
debt. And this is something, this is why I tell people, I'm like, if you're going to work, like make it a money job, right? All the
Right.
engineer girls I know, their jobs are like, please don't leave. And they're like, nope, I'm going home to raise my kids. Samsung is like, we'll pay y'all all this money if you just come back in 9 months. And they're
Mhm.
like, peace out. And so
Yep.
these engineer girls know they have an engineering degree and they can walk back into a job that's going to
Mhm.
pay them buku money,
Well,
even in
see,
2-3 years.
and the promise that they gave women is that you can have it all, and you still can have it all, but you have to make the right choices.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the key things, if not the key thing, is that you major in the right thing. So I don't begrudge women going to school or college, especially if you go in for the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what women are finding, especially the IT gals, at least they have the option, or the STEM
Mm-hmm.
gals, the accounting gals. Oh, I can make a lot of money. So you eliminate your student loan right away. You
Mm-hmm.
got a real job that's actually productive to the economy, not merely taking care of other women's children because they're too busy taking care of other women's children, their children taking care of other women's children. And then you're not old. You come out of college at 22 with a degree in whatever, mechanical engineering. You still, and let's just admit it, boys are too stupid at that age to really settle down, and no one's ready for marriage at that time. And then
But
you
no
got
one
some
wants to
ding.
say that though.
Well, no, it's true.
Yeah.
I'll say it. I don't care. I'm
Yeah.
I'm old and grumpy. I'm an old man who yells at clouds. Um, but then but now look at you. You walk into the dating market and you got a leg up over gals in many regards. One, you ain't got no debt. You're not a financial liability. Two, you do have a real career. Not saying I got a career and look at it, and oh, but I need to live in Section 8 housing. You're probably a little bit more mature and intelligent because those studies are rigorous and probably made you think a little bit. Then, as you're pointing out, I can stay home and have kids because I may even saved up some money and I have
Mhm.
no debt. And then you can go home, take care of the kids, be a mom. And do you know what happens? You know what happens to kids after 18 years? They leave. And at that time, you're in your younger 40s, maybe mid 40s. And guess what? You ain't dead yet. And you could go back to work.
Mhm.
And you can have it all, but you got to do it right. And the key thing is you cannot financially cripple yourself with a laughably stupid degree or going to an absolutely overpriced private college. And so a lot of people say, when they say you can have it all, they mean without hard choices and hard work, which means you can have it all. You will screw it up and you will eliminate options. What is have it all? Career, husband, and children.
Mhm.
You will have to remove one of those things because you misread that as you can have it all, meaning you don't have to make a wise choice or sacrifice or invest. But if you do it right, you can have it all. Maybe not in the order you like, but you can have it all. But it really goes down to you majoring in the right thing.
Man, so I have military parents. Mom did 26 years, dad did 10.
Mhm.
We lived in Alaska, we lived in North Carolina, we lived in Germany. My brother's older, he lived in Japan with them and stuff. And so what ended up happening is coming from Fayetteville, Fort Bragg, I was like, people were like, oh man, those farm people off to the left. Oh God, those farmers, those townies. And so I was like, man, I gotta get out of here. I can't be stuck in the town, right? And now I go out here to Texas, and guess what everybody's trying to do? They're trying to move further out, get in a
Mhm.
nice little modern farmhouse or revamp an old farmhouse and have a
Mhm.
bunch of kids and relax at the house. And I
Mhm.
tell people, like, be careful of who you listen to along the way, because 9 times out of 10, those women are going home. That, like, even here at this, when I go to conferences, Aaron, it's so crazy. The men and the women are looking
Mhm.
for somebody that's got some brains and can go sit down, right? Just that's what they're looking for. People with some brains that aren't ridiculous. And
You mean in like a dating relationship or
yeah,
like going for guidance? Okay, so they're looking
yeah,
for a smart
it's
one with brain.
crazy.
Well, too
Yeah,
bad.
like
Not
when
a
I
lot
went
of
to
smart
Grant
people.
Cardone's event, I mean, they were dressed to the nine. Women were in the heels, tight skirts, everything, like makeup done, hair done, like, I
Okay.
mean, to the
They were on
nines.
the prowl is what you're saying. So they go to the conference.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I
All
mean,
right.
they're out here ready to go. And I was like, oh. So as I start going to these conferences, I'm like, oh, I need to get my makeup done. I need to show up. And actually, that's how I have my current boyfriend. I went to a conference. He was just like, hey, what are you doing?
How you doing? Yeah.
I'm coming to you. And so a lot of times what it is people aren't planning to have to make a choice. Right.
Mm.
I think they wake up and they're like, oh my God, I'm in my late 30s. What am I gonna do? Well, at some point you're gonna have to make a choice. And you might not get I have a friend, unfortunately, who she's 39, and I showed her a picture of this guy. She's like, well, he's not tall.
He
I
is
said,
not
girl,
tall.
girl, most men ain't tall. What are you talking about? I just don't think the reality of choices hit a lot of these folks that, yeah, there's choices, but you don't have all the choices. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's and I think a lot of that is misinformation, marketing, and propaganda sent to people, ranging from everything from politicians to commercials and all that. It's and so I'm somewhat sympathetic because most people aren't that bright. And they actually believe it. And why wouldn't you? Oh, follow my heart, money will follow. College is the solution for everything.
Mhm.
I deserve it. Oh, I can have Hugh Jackman. I mean, I don't
Vin
know if you ever,
Diesel,
huh?
what's Jason Momoa, his
Oh yeah,
the Aquaman.
yeah, sure, sure. It's interesting because I don't know if you ever watch Fresh and Fit or maybe you at least know of them.
Mhm.
When they have these girls on, uh, I don't know how they get this information, but they'll interview them like, okay, what percentage of men are over 6 feet tall? And they're like, oh, 75%. What percent of men make over 100,000? Oh, 65%. And I'm kind of like, no, I don't know where you're getting your information, but this is all wrong. Men are not that great. We're not that tall. We're not that great. And we're not that rich. But yeah, but if someone's selling them something on the back end of these lies, and it's working, but that's going to come at the cost of your options later on down the road. And especially to your female audience. Ericka, what's the number one thing men are interested in women about?
The sex? No.
Sex. No, not you. Sex, damn it, sexy, sex. No, we don't care about your career. It's nice if you're an engineer. Yes, we do care about your finances. If you're a financial cripple, we don't want you aboard. But by gum, by golly, here comes well-endowed Molly. We want sex. And you know what happens to women when they get old?
I don't know what happened.
They're not sexy no more. We don't want to have the sex with you. And you know what happens to your value to us? Romantically speaking, it goes to zero. Now, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm starting to wonder this in some of my more recent writings. In the presumed have it all, I presume falling in love and finding a man is one of those.
Mhm.
All right. But and this goes more for women than men, but there is definitely a time limit to that. And I've kind of philosophically have stopped banging my head against the wall because I think everyone knows this, but I don't know how. When I'm 39 and he too tall.
He's not
Lady,
tall enough.
he's not
Where's the
tall
tall
enough.
men? I'm like, the
Lady,
tall men are taken.
yeah, you're gonna get gray pubes here pretty soon, and you're acting like you're 24 and got all the options in the world. I mean, I could keep saying this. Men have been saying this for years. It's just simply not been receptive on the female audience. But maybe your audience is more receptive, obviously, because they're more independent thinking.
I have a lot of men on my list, actually. For
Yeah,
a long
no,
time, I
and
had 70%. Now I'm like
right now they're
50-50.
shaking my yeah, because
Yeah.
you're being empirical.
Mhm.
But for the women who are listening, look, do you want to be happy or do you want to be like Nancy Pelosi, like world's most powerful woman, but constantly pissed off and not happy? Look, if you want the guys, you got to consider what the guys want. It's choice, and choice means you're going to have to pursue an option. It means invest. But yeah, it's if that's one of the critical 3 pillars you girls want, you have to consider the guys as well. You want to make money, you want to be boss bitch. All right, well, you better major in engineering. You better major in accounting.
Accounting. I knew a financial analyst, and she made
Mhm.
185,000, and she was like bitter about. She wanted a dude, and she was like, she realized, I'm not going to get any of the other analysts in the office because they make a
Mhm.
ton of money.
Mhm.
I got to aim down. And when she said that, I was like, okay, so what's the problem? Pick one. Um, the reason and the reason when Kevin Samuels blew up, I said, listen, you guys, women already got the notice like 3-4 years before he blew up.
Mhm.
And I would say reason why is it blew up women femininity channels and fitness channels.
They
So it was
blew up.
all these channels of women 35 to 45 saying, hey, ladies, let's lose this weight. Let's dress better. Let's be nice. Let's be feminine.
Mhm.
April Mason's one of the big ones out there. I saw a lot of divorced women who had got divorced. They're like, let's get remarried. I mean, I literally, when I tell y'all that being fit and nice And I'm not even that fit, y'all. Y'all know I'm fluffy out here, but I'm literally always working out. Like I went on a date with a guy and we went to the gym and worked out together. And he was like, "Oh shit." I'm like, "Okay, let's whatever." Um at my church there was a lady, fit, divorced, 4 kids.
Mm.
End up marrying a dude who owned his own business, no kids.
Mhm.
Married her in under a year.
Was she
They
hot?
had another kid.
I don't know if I mentioned the thing the men are interested in. We're into this thing called sex. See, now some guys have standards, like we're not going to marry the single mom of 4, but if you
She was
were,
very, very pretty.
yeah,
Long
well,
hair,
no kidding,
bombshell from Canada.
to overlook 4 children, you darn right. But
He was kind
yeah,
of nerdy too. He was kind of
well,
nerdy.
yeah, and that's the supply side of the equation. They're
Mhm.
not always Hugh Jackman or Jason Momoa, but yeah.
So I think women got the message maybe 2016 that like, hey, that the year the divorces went to the lowest rate, which was I think was 2015, the lowest divorce rate in the past 20 years. I was like, yeah, because ain't nothing out here. Invest in what's in your house and like it. Plus the cost of rent
Mhm.
is astronomical. So talk to me. Now you left from, was it the Twin Cities?
Yeah.
Because I love telling people about moving.
Mhm.
Why did you leave the Twin Cities?
Aside from the burning buildings, the high taxes, fat women, and below 0 temperatures and mosquitoes. No, the reason I've always wanted to leave Minnesota is just once you plant roots down, it's kind of hard to leave, especially in a pre-self-employment world. But yeah, I moved from Minnesota for many reasons. It is high taxes.
Mm-hmm.
The political culture there is just toxic, and I do mean that. You will be mentally ill. It is one of the more leftist leaning states. The riots, but you would have, if you spent any time in Minnesota before, you would have seen the cultural environment by which that would have formed, which was not fun or enjoyable. The state is filled with self-loathing people. They're criminal, and it's cold. It is cold. And then it's also very, what would I say, nepotistic or buddy boy.
You guys
If
had a lot
you
of unions.
maybe at the Iron Range at one times, but now
Yeah.
it's strictly a service. Like, certainly the Twin
Mm-hmm.
Cities. But if you're not from one of the elite suburbs, and I'm not a big classist, but there it is true. If you're not from one of the suburbs and went to school, you ain't working for Cargill. You ain't working for what's it called? U.S. Bank, at least not in any kind of paid position. And it's just very nepotistic. And there's so yeah, I wanted to leave, and then I always like South Dakota, this part of South Dakota where it's west, which is where the Black Hills are, Mount Rushmore and everything, and they have no state income taxes. It's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit warmer, but I won't lie, I'm weak, and so I go to Vegas in winter. So I don't even tolerate the winters here. But that's why I moved out. Why I moved to South Dakota.
All right. And so I was telling people that 48% of all houses in 2021 and 2022 were purchased in the Southeast. I was like, no one's going north to retire.
No.
You know what I mean? No one. And so these housing prices in some of those places like Minnesota, it's just not going to happen. Now, South Dakota was on the list for lots of people relocating. I think Chicago lost, and this is just on the black side. Chicago lost 300,000 black middle class families. They left. They out of there. Then they lost 3,000 millionaires that were just black and white, but 3,000 millionaires, they just booked it and left. And so I think Chicago just lost the Citadel and some other people. They have a problem. Like, as nice as that city is architectural wise, like they got a problem. People are going to relocate to where it's cheapest and best
Right.
for their pocket.
Right. And no crime. Crime will be an increasing factor in this too. People just want to be safe. They don't want to be robbed. But yeah.
I'm gonna read some of these super chats and I'm gonna get on to the next topic, you guys. Darkman Jeff said something for the collection plate. Enjoying this collabo. Been listening to Aaron since 2015.
Jeff's a regular guy. Hi, Jeff.
And then we have Master Jones. Curse of the IQ is a must read. It's true, Master Jones. Okay, we got Greg, yo mother super sticker. Thank you. We also have, whoa, come on in, Superstar Custom, $50. I'm a couple years shy of being Gen X, but I refuse to be called a millennial. Well, Superstar Custom, sorry, you are a millennial. Welcome to our tribe.
We won't tell anyone.
But the biggest thing is, I think the power of the digital economy. But one thing I love that you talk about is commuting. The baby boomers and the commuting. Because
Oh
I told
God.
people, I said, they're gonna make y'all go back to work. Oh, Ericka, you know what you're talking about. I said, listen, they're gonna make you go back. Now there's a bunch of people that could be contractors, 1099, and they can be like, yeah, you can work from home remotely and they're gonna pay you low. But then they're gonna go, hey, if you work in the office, we're gonna pay you so much more.
Mhm.
And so, what are your thoughts on this commuting? Because
Just no, commuting
it's
is no,
crazy.
no, no. Here's yeah, I really wish, kind of like, okay, one thing, a very simple solution to a lot of the problems women face is be thin and be hot. Okay. This goes, no, and I know,
I
but
know.
if you be thin and be, and universally on the finance, that's for the dating, courtship, even career
Hmm.
sort of things for women. One thing that everyone can do, all right, that is going to help you more than anything else is be a minimalist. Spend less than you make. So that when your dickhead of a boomer boss who still thinks it's 1972 says, I need you to come in. Oh, I don't know if you're working or not. And I'll give you lots of money. You can say, no, I don't need the money. Like that is, and then you're so free and you can actually enjoy a much more enjoyable, free, and I would say higher standard of living life. Because after a while, uh, now the studies, and of course it's in older dollars, but basically they said if you make around 75 grand, I would claim nowadays it's more like 100,000. But let's just say you make six figs, you can pretty much afford whatever you want. Like you got
Hmm.
enough to pay rent, you're not struggling, you can go out and eat whenever you want, you have enough adequate money to save for retirement, you got your healthcare things, and everything's taken care of. Well, what's 200,000? Well, if you got to commute, that is hurting your life. Now you're taking 2 hours a day out of your life. You're
Hmm.
causing stress on your family. You're at a higher risk for divorce, and you're not tangibly improving your life for that extra $100,000. And we could talk about $100,000, but I'm still saying if you're just a single person, you got your financial act together, you could probably get by in 50, 55, depending on where you live, of course. But certainly $60,000, you'll be fine. If you're a minimalist, boss comes in, says, we need you to work extra. No. Well, I might fire
Sorry,
you.
no.
Okay, I'll find another job. But you don't, that's okay. I have 6 months supply of money. And you don't
Hmm.
have to deal with this. You don't have to deal with what is going to be the sadism, the mental illness, the toxic environment that is work. And so, yeah, it's kind of be a minimalist and refuse to commute. And always now the ultimate solution is you have to be self-employed. So you don't have to
Hmm.
dick around with this. I'm gonna make the case that it never regular employment was never a viable and acceptable option to begin with. Employers have just become so warped and sadistic.
Hmm.
It is getting worse as time goes on to the point it's not tenable. And the
Hmm.
only reason you should be working for someone else is for as you're young, you're trying to get into, you got to make some money, maybe pay back your student loans. Everyone's got to go through it. But as politics and mental illness and HR and all this start to permeate and turn it up to 15, especially ESG,
Oh my
it's
God.
it's not it's a continuation of middle school.
Hmm.
Get out, become self-employed, become a minimalist, and that would be the most direct route to a work-life balance. So yeah, I mean, I understand everyone's got to work for someone. Maybe your boss is going, but if you set it up right, where you got side income, rental property, you don't need this. If you could just get to the position of not needing one employer because you have others, then you're going to be so much better off. And if they say, we need you to commute, we need you to take the vaccine, we need you to do this, you can just say,
Like,
no,
nope.
nope.
And all those nurses that they fired, they had to turn around and rehire those
Yep.
same nurses,
Yep.
or they became travel nurses and made
Yeah.
killer money.
I,
It was a
the
waste of
pilots, they
time.
can't find pilots.
Well, did you hear that one dude that got in trouble? The military guy, he said, "We don't have enough real men." He said, "When I,"
he's not
he's like,
wrong.
you know where he got pilots from? We got them out of the military. The men would
Mhm.
we would basically recycle them over there. We just would
Mhm.
send them over there,
Yep.
and this is my problem. The airlines got $40 billion in protection during the pandemic. Why weren't they putting dudes through pilot school instead
I,
of making dudes come to them as pilots? It's ridiculous.
but it reinforces my point. Why did the banks collapse? Because why were they making those loans? I cannot emphasize this enough to your audience. Just because it's a Fortune 500 company, just because that person has their MBA, just because they have gray hair,
Mhm.
doesn't mean they're smart and they know what they're doing. Matter of fact, if you are dealing with employers, most employers are stupid. I'm not saying that because I hated my previous employers. I'm not saying that because I got bad luck. I'm saying all that because that's true too. But on top of it, most employers, big or not, are stupid. They're morons. And so you could say, oh, they got $40 billion. What, don't people at Delta or American Airlines don't they? No, they don't. They really don't. And it's not worth it. You want to be the indispensable contractor. You want to be the guy or the gal that comes in. They're like, oh, I see you have a problem because you hired a bunch of MBAs from business school who don't know anything. But boy, they kiss ass and suck dick really well in corporate America. Okay, you got your corporate executive team is a bunch of dick suckers. Great, that's great. All right. Oh, now that the work has to get done, here's my $1,000 an hour fee with a non-refundable $50,000 retainer. You shut up and do what I tell you. And if you dare give me any lip or send me whatever diversity training, ESG crap, no, I don't come into the office. That's your monkeys. That's your sheep that you pay W-2. I'm a 1099er. Right. And so and it's just, again, everyone has to work. Everyone does for one of these employees just to get your feet, but you got to get out of these places as quick as possible. But yeah, that's why you're 40 billion. We're the pilots. Well, it's because people are mismanaged.
Everybody, listen, if you're loving this content, which you are, because there's like freaking 10 super chats, I'm going to get to them. I see you guys blowing it up right now. Thank you so much. Listen, you guys, drop a 1 in the comments right now if you're loving this. If you're loving this, drop a 1. If you're not, drop a 2 or go get ghost. The biggest part too of when I hear about consultants, right? When I was telling this guy I was a consultant, he was like, "Oh, everybody's a freaking." He was an Uber driver. Everybody's a freaking consultant. He's like, "Oh, da 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 da," and so he's ranting and raving, and me and my friend are in the car laughing. And I was like, "Where did you come from?" He said, "California." He's in Texas driving us an Uber. And he's like, "Well, you guys don't pay enough taxes here. You guys don't do." I said, "Dude, you can go back to California."
Right.
Oh no, I like having guns and stuff now. I like having it.
Remember those people on the people on the Bell distribution curve, that big group of stupid people on the Bell distribution curve? That was one of them.
So listen, I'm going to read this, and I want you guys to understand this is again, and I say this from a perspective of like I'm considered fluffy and but I actually go out of my damn house. I actually know how to talk to people. I actually know how to people. You guys are making excuses, but Lynn, I'm going to read this. She said this guy actually is successful. He actually has money and actually has the things women want, and he's not bad looking. The vast majority of men are not in his position. Let me just give you the caveats here. Aaron Clarey's about 5'7". You may be taller.
Ow, I'm 5'9". Don't make it worse than it is.
I'm sorry. You were standing up on Fresh and Fit or something, and I thought you were 5'7". So my bad. My bad. He's 5'9". But even at 5'9", you're a smaller frame guy.
Yep.
But you did all these things. You salsa dance. You increased your hiking. All these things. People still have to put in work.
Yeah. And I was better than average success with women. But yeah, I had to put a lot of work in to get the girls that I did get, and I inevitably got a gal, higher quality gal, and she's tall. She's 6 feet tall. So
I'm sorry. He's 5'9". I officially apologize.
5'9". Yeah. But I hate to. Well, I don't hate to agree with Lena just because it's true. Yeah. Most men are not in my position, especially the younger you get. Most guys have a negative net worth. Most guys have debt. Most guys are, and even I would say my degree was pretty worthless. But most guys like me have a worthless degree, but haven't been able to pivot it into something profitable. Most guys are not self-employed, and most guys, well, let me throw this at Lena. Do you know what women were thinking when they met me in my 20s when I was living in a basement, driving a 1985 Cutlass Supreme? I mean, maybe I was the fun guy, but no girl really wanted to get serious or commit. And so it's kind of the story of Aladdin. You got to find the diamond in the rough. So there
people have to grow together.
Yeah, you got to grow together. Yeah. And I'm very sympathetic with younger women today in the choices of men. I mean, you put men in a socialist environment, they're pussies. You got weak men. You told them the same lies. You told them just be yourself and be sweet and kind. Yeah, well, okay, there's your option. So I'm terribly sorry. But yeah, no, women are kind of screwed in this regard. There are not a lot of. I know my channel always kvetch about the lack of quality women, but there's, I'd say, an equal lack of quality men.
Listen, and I'm gonna go on to self-employment, back on self-employment in a second. But you guys, this is the thing. What you have to understand is, I see every day of the week and twice on Sunday, fat, ugly women married every day of the week. So there's somebody for somebody, right? Like, I hate when people say, "Oh, there's no." Listen. I see fat men and women married all the time, just fine. A lot of people are in denial. I was watching this woman's show. She's out of Atlanta. I forgot her name. If you guys know who I'm talking about in the chat, the woman with the radio show in Atlanta, she had men call in, right? So this guy calls in a chef suit. He's in the back cooking. His front tooth is missing. He's got like missing, the teeth are chipped or something really bad. He's a big dude. I'm talking about easily 300 pounds. And he's like, yeah, I want a small petite woman. And they're like, wait a minute, dude. You're a chef in a restaurant, your teeth are terrible and you're big and your hair's not great, but you want a petite woman. Yeah, I see that all the time, right? They even had another dude call. White dude, mid-30s, overweight, unemployed, saying he wanted a small petite woman. And the girl goes, no, he wanted a fit girl. And she goes, where would you find a fit girl? He's like, in a gym. She said, how often do you go to the gym?
Never.
Not often. She said, well, how much money do you make? I'm in between jobs right now. Why would a fit, healthy, happy woman want to be with you?
Right.
This is a question that has to be asked on both sides. People are aspiring to have an Instagram life, but they are not willing to put in the work.
Right. And again, and this can help men too. Be thin, be attractive. All right.
Be trying.
You know, if for any other reason, your health. Okay. But yeah, there is, and I don't think men are as delusional. I think they're more hopeful. Like, maybe this girl will like me for my personality. No. You gotta be tall, good looking, handsome, and all. You gotta make money. But yeah, it just goes back to like, okay, guys, you got to put in the work. But yeah, like it's for the women, there's not a lot of choices out there. There really isn't, and so I'm somewhat sympathetic. If everybody just got thinner and hotter, we'd have more options. I think y'all be happy. But sitting and hoping, that's not a strategy. Right. Going to the gym, working, getting employment for both men and women, that's a strategy. But only your audience or people that tune into us, I think, are going to be receptive to that. Everybody else wants the Oprah solution. Is like, well, how do I get Jason Momoa? But here's the catch: without going to the gym. And like, oh, well, for $59.95, I'll sell it to you. Yeah, here's the secret. You put on eyelashes. Oh, that was the secret. Oh, okay, that's what I had to do.
Well, that's the thing. Well, I know we're going to go to the next segment, but you guys, listen, I put on makeup this weekend, not because I had to, because I had to go speak on stage, and a makeup artist from Colombia in Panama. She came here from Colombia because she needed work. She did our makeup. She did it fabulous. I took a bunch of pictures. The amount of DMs and thirst trapping that went on this past 24 hours has been insane. I think we don't, makeup is great, but it should be that you're trying your overall body. Like, people are like, well, Ericka, you're not totally. I'm like, listen, you guys, I get up, I work with a personal trainer twice a week. I am attempting to be healthy, not just for myself, but for future options. I can't just get up and travel and go if you're not healthy. A lot of Americans are just not healthy. And it's something we have to kind of talk about, unfortunately, because we see it. So what was my thing I was going to? Okay. So I was going to talk to you about, I think you know this, right? But I have like 20 boy cousins and like 4
I
girl
didn't know
cousins.
that. 20 cousins?
And we have all our male, we have 6 aunts and uncles. Everybody's been married forever and ever. And so what they would do is they make all the boys go in the military. They didn't get college option. Only the girls got the college option. Every single boy had to go military. We had one girl cousin. She was goofy. So they're like, no, you're going to the military too. And she sees this. She knows it's true. I'm not trying to be mean. They were like, yeah, you just go into
There's nothing wrong with the military. That's a great option.
And every single one of those guys, when they came out in 4 years, some stayed longer. They would be more mature, ready to buy a house with their VA loan. They just had a different personality. Like, one of our cousins went to basic training. This girl grabbed him up and married him by the time they were out of AIT together. because when you see somebody going somewhere and doing something, it's very much outside the culture.
Mhm.
Because I grew up in military towns, I'm used to seeing military fit dudes, personality,
Disciplined.
disciplined.
Mhm.
You know, some of them had fat wives. We know the jokes of hippopotamus wife, whatever, the hippopotamus wife, or whatever. But a lot of them were fit and disciplined.
Mhm.
Even when I have a guy, young man I know right now, I'm getting ready to invest with him in a real estate deal in Memphis. He came out of, went to Citadel, came out of the military. He's 28. He went to his company he worked at, Aaron, because he's so disciplined and focused. The manager there hired him as the assistant manager, and people were pissed. They're like, "Why are you hiring this young dude over?" He's like, "He's the only guy in here that's mature enough
Yeah.
to go up." And he said, he was just shocked, right? Like some lady came in and was whining and complaining about some deal that fell through because they're mortgage brokers.
Mm.
And he's like, "Okay, well, guess what? That's your problem. Suck it up. Let's go." And she was so offended, she wanted to quit. And he said, "Ericka, what did I do wrong?" I said, "Listen, you just came out the military where if it doesn't matter if it's your problem, you fix it.
Right.
You're now in the real world, civilian world, where we just blame somebody else for our stuff.
Right.
It's somebody else's fault."
Mhm.
And this is why, right here, Cherie, the biz plan writer, she said the future is freelancing and
It
self-employment.
is. It is. Yeah.
Um,
And
there,
to
go
echo
ahead.
that, but especially now, um, just showing up on time and
Mm-hmm.
being responsible. And I would say above all else being empirical, like, okay, whatever reason that deal fell through, it wasn't that guy's fault. It wasn't the girl's fault either, but it is now their problem.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I don't tolerate when, the girls I used to date. Oh my God, it did that. Shh. Like, we ain't got time. And I don't want to hear you complain about the situation in front of us right now. We have to deal with this, whether it's a tire that was put on wrong or whatever, it didn't matter. And so if you can just show up and be on time, as the quality and caliber of the average American employee goes in the toilet, I think you can shield yourself a lot against a lot of the politics and the BS and the mental illness that you'll find in traditional employment.
Mm-hmm.
But the higher up you go, it's just it's just the same people, but with gray hair. So, but yeah,
Well,
just being disciplined is a
yeah.
key thing.
Well, and I also think that's why consultants still make so much money. I know a guy, he went and consulted this company, told him to do A, B, and C.
Mhm.
Very simple stuff. And they paid him like $50,000 for it.
Yep.
And he had to stay there like, I think 3 weeks and help implement it.
Mm.
But when I asked him about it over dinner, I'm like, "That's all?" He's like, "Yeah, but you got to think about it. These people are in this system
Mhm.
where they're doing something and it's stupid and it's repetitive and they don't think about it." Now, when I was in apartment managing, I was a billings manager. So I look at all the bills, I know the numbers. I
Mhm.
go to the people and I say, "Listen, we've got to hire an in-house painter for $50,000 a year, give them some benefits. This is a 700 unit apartment complex. We're going to be painting all year long anyway."
Yep.
They pretty much say, "Oh, yeah, shut up, Ericka. We're just going to outsource it." They end up outsourcing over $400,000 in painting that year
Yep.
because they
Yep.
had 120 units turnover. Then other tenants saw the other tenants' units getting painted. They're like, "Well, mine need to be painted.
Yeah.
You want me to sign the lease? It better be painted."
Mhm.
And so what ends up happening is these companies have this echo chamber of stupid.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
so when people think, "Oh, Ericka, you can't make money consulting," you can.
Yeah.
They
Well,
it's simple
and
solutions.
there's two types of consultants out there that I
Mhm.
found. There's the consultants that blow smoke and just tell you what you want to hear. And I'm not. I'll accuse them of this. This is, well, Anderson Consulting is no more, but your Accentures, your Big Four consulting firms. But then there's other consultants I would throw myself in there where you just someone who isn't insane. You're not part of the Borg. You're not part of the system. You step in like, you're doing this wrong. And you could come in and tell the boss that they're wrong. And maybe a bunch of other employees want to tell the boss that they're wrong, but they can't because their job's at stake. Your job ain't at stake. You're the hired gun. And a very simple business model that people have done, and I heard this from other consultants, older, wiser guys than me, is say, all I would do is I'd go into the factory. I would interview all the line workers in the mid-level. I say, what's wrong? What could improve? Bah, 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 bah. And then I would go and tell the boss, and some 3 or 4 key things would show up. These are the problems. But in the past, anyone who tried to raise those things to the attention of management or the owner or the boss would usually get fired because pride and ego is in the way. And so it's not, I always thought consultants were like super experienced, old, aged, master's degree. No, they're just people that come in and either sell you what you want to hear, or they just go in and tell you the truth. And down the road, I think there's going to be an increasing market as, a lot of these employer corporations, companies start pursuing feelings and emotions and politics more than the actual production of widgets. They'd be like, oh, why aren't we producing any more widgets? So there's going to be, they're going to go more and more insane, and they're going to need more and more people to tell them, hey, you got to do this, or at least make them feel like they're doing something and hiring a consultant. So I hate to say consultant isn't real work because we don't really produce anything. But the
We're
main
outside in.
yeah, but everyone's so dysfunctional in the traditional economy. You almost need a consultant to come in and just like kind of nudge you the right way. But it's not the economy we want; it's the economy we got. But yeah, there's nothing wrong or immoral about being a consultant on either of those sides.
The crazy part is I get on the phone with different businesses, and I've got on the phone, you guys, with this guy who was making a ton of money out of Miami, just a ton of money. I don't know what to do. I said, listen, calm down. Let's do ABC steps. Within a year, boy has he has 3 4-unit apartment, little mini, multifamilies. And then he got in a partnership with somebody to, build a little apartment complex. He's like, man, that was awesome. Thank you so much. And I said, well, what was the problem? What was the thing holding you back? He had a brother-in-law in New York that was super wealthy. And that was what made him want to be wealthy. Like a pissing contest.
Yeah.
And so like everything he was doing in Miami was to make all this money so he could show his brother-in-law he could make more money. And I was like, it's like, are you serious? Like, but I got paid like 10K, Aaron.
Yeah.
I got paid 5K by this girl who is I can't disclose her channel, but she's here on YouTube. Thousands of followers. She was making no money. She said, what can I do? I said, first of all, you draw. Okay. Avengers is out. This is like when one of the Avenger movies was out. I said, tell people you're going to charge them $200 and you're going to teach them live how to draw like Black Panther and Captain America and stuff like that. Sure. She sold 1,000 students in one day.
Wow.
So they could draw Black Panther. And I was like, girl, you're redhead. You're beautiful. Sorry, I don't have to give away her description of her channel, but she's a beautiful girl. She draws. I said, men are watching you draw just because you're cute. Like you're good looking.
Higgle bitties. Sex.
I was like, make your money. So she did one for Captain America and then she did one for Black Panther. And then she was like, oh my God, I've never made this much money off YouTube. And I'm like, this is insane. So consultancy can be funny, you guys. It can
and productive. Look how much money you made these people. I'll be, you just Paris. No, we're helping. I'll one up you on this. I've had a handful of females come in. What do I got to do to get a guy? And I say, get in shape, lose weight, long hair. And I'll charge $100 for it. And it's the same answer. Yeah. And there's even videos of this, like, how do I get a guy? You could search, you could find, but I'll keep charging them. And it's like, okay, but now they might actually go do it. And that will work.
That's the best part, that they'll go do it.
Hopefully.
Okay, I'm gonna read over some of these super chats and then I'm gonna tell you about my nephew real quick. And I'm gonna tell you this example from this event at, but okay. So Appliance Boot Camp, thank you for $20. Great show. Love that blank hole consultant. You already guys know his name. If you guys don't know Aaron Clarey's name, it's called Asshole Consultant. Oh wow, thank you. Pocket Watching with JT. This dude has like, I don't know, like 100,000 or something subscribers. Shout out to Ericka and Aaron, debt free. That's right. Awesome. Debt free is the way to be. Awesome. Thank you, Greg Yoma, for $4.99 super sticker. You guys are blowing it up. Okay, number 20. Okay, whoa.
Where do you get these big ass donations? I get like the 2s and 3s. You're getting these $20, $50
We've got
donations.
A bunch of them. We gotta read them.
Man.
All right, self-made, $20. Thank you. Listen to Aaron Clarey since 2013. I bought his book, Worthless Book. I think that's the Worthless Degree one. Benefits of a truly free mind, he did in 2013, really helped me on my journey. Both has helped me be honest and truthful about how finances affect society.
I'm glad he donates $20 to you and not to me. I've never seen him in my super. I'm glad I helped you out, self-made. Thanks a lot.
Next one, I know there's a ton, y'all. I'm not ignoring you. Exceptional conversations with Nikki. Thank you for not super chat. Spot on about not needing the money. I worked on the analyst floor of the banking. Okay. They were shocked and that I was leaving the bank to be homeschool mom Full disclosure, I did marry a fintech guy, which helped me.
Married
There
a
you
guy
go.
who had a job. Imagine that. Okay. Paying attention, guys. You notice the girl's like, oh, I want an acoustic guitar music major.
Never,
I want a guy who lives in Section 8. You notice the girls aren't asking for that,
never saying
guys?
that.
All right.
You guys are so many. I'm trying. Give me a second. I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling. You
There's
guys are
nowhere to be. I got not much
okay. I didn't
going
want to.
on.
I didn't want to. You'd be like, I gotta go somewhere. So,
No, I got it's going to be 98 degrees here, so maybe go
ooh.
ride the motorcycle up in the hills where it's
You
cooler.
know, I found an automatic motorcycle that I want now. It's like
Automatic?
yeah, I gave up. Like I'm tired of shifting. I'm like
Oh,
I'm
all
over
right.
it. Like the my little bike is awesome, but it's like I'm tired of it already. I'd be looking around. I got ADHD because I'd be like, "Oh, look at that! Look at that! Look at
All
that!
that pay
Oh, look
attention to
over
the road,
there!"
dear. I don't want you like in a wheelchair.
I know. So that's why I was like, "Let me just get on." Like, I love it. He said people move to Florida talking trash, but they want to have guns. Exactly. Like they leave New York, they want to do this. People keep saying you look amazing for your age.
I'm
How old are you
40,
here?
47.
Okay, there you go.
The trick is not to have children. Trick. No, it's just what's one of the thing. I've seen my colleagues have children. They look like
They
they've
wear
been
them out.
through war. They come back.
Listen,
Oh man, you don't know how bad it is, man.
these kids, these damn kids. Well, what's so crazy is 35, 35 to 45. I meet 35 to 45-year-old men all the time who essentially don't have kids, never been married. They look phenomenal. So I'm not gonna lie.
Well, and I mean, I work out. I mean, there's that. Of
Mhm.
course, there's that, and I eat healthy. And I
You got
go.
jacked a couple months ago, like for
I
like,
did.
and then you were on Fresh and Fit with your vest all tight. I was like, whoa, calm down here.
Yeah, I was on. I won't lie. I was on testosterone. I was giving that a try, and
Mhm.
I was also going to the gym very regularly because I
Mhm.
had the time. And now I got off because I hated it. It's such a pain in the ass. And but now I'm working on the house, and so I've really trimmed down a lot. I kind of got little abs starting to show now, but that's because of assembling furniture, putting in retaining walls. So I hopefully one of these days when the house is completely done and everything's done, I can get back to the gym regularly. But yeah, I mean, just I guess don't be fat. That's one thing. That's about it.
Mhm. So here's this guy, God's gift and guarding. He said, I'm totally not debt free, but I was able to purchase my first home all cash. Now I need to tackle these
Nice,
credit cards.
nice.
Yeah. He's so funny. This girl said, Erica, those 600-pound lifers always have a spouse. Oh, you guys are hilarious in this chat, man. You
Is
guys are
that the My 600-Pound Life? Is that the
yeah,
show?
that
Oh, okay.
show.
All
Oh
right.
my god, it's sad.
Are these
Only in
girls
America.
single? You got all these gals with the shows and the things going on. They're cute gals. They got guys.
Uh, what the 600-pound life? Most of them are
No,
married.
this Credit
Oh,
Solutions gal. She's
oh
cute.
no, she just moved. She just left California, the communist
Smart.
California, to move to Virginia. I was like, date one of those guys.
Well, I got some single guys that got jobs in my life. Maybe we'll have a meetup or something. You bring the girls, I'll bring the guys, and we're gonna charge commission, lots of money to introduce you people to each
Listen,
other.
you know what's crazy? Kevin Samuels put together a Facebook group. He wasn't even in there,
Yeah.
and like 8 people got engaged out of that freaking
No
group. It's
kidding.
crazy.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good.
You guys are hilarious. People keep recommending your see here it is. Good, good, good. Someone finally said it. Recommend the reading book, The Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty for Black Men. Who demands better? Okay, good, good, good. Okay. All right.
I
So
like how
here's
you. That's the controversial one I wrote. That's
it.
the controversial one.
That's how I like somebody had brought it up. Somebody brought it up and I was like, what's so bad about the book? You know, and so I bought it and I read it. I was like, okay, guys, this is very generic. Is it?
My
I
next
don't know.
book is The Black Man's Guide into Poverty for Black men who demand less.
They're like, he's not even black.
No, no. Oh my God, I'm not. Jeez.
So okay, here's the thing. We're on this bus tour here, and the bus people here, they were talking about their kids, and one lady had left her like teenagers in charge of the house. They were fine. Husband and wife are like, yeah, we raised them. They know not to let anybody in. So very mature. The lady beside us is like, oh my 17-year-old son didn't pay his phone bill. I'm so mad with him. And we're like, 17? It's got a phone. How much is the phone bill? $40. This kid can't go find $40. And immediately she was just saying how, childish and young he was. And I was laughing because this is the thing, Aaron. In our family, my nephew's 15 years old. He bought our grandpa's 1994 truck. You know, my grandpa passed, whatever. And he bought his truck, Ford truck. He's cleaning it up. He's putting the little, covered camo seats and everything. He's one of those kids.
He is in Texas.
Everything's camo.
Yeah.
And he has like 70 lawns that he cuts for lawn care.
Awesome.
In the summer last year, he had a 21-year-old guy driving him around in his pickup truck to go cut his lawns. The 21-year-old white kid worked for my 15-year-old black nephew.
Yeah.
and I'm sitting here listening to these people. My nephew's grandparents on his father's side, his grandparents own 4 tire and oil change locations. And they're like, hey, one of these are yours when you get older. My nephew comes in and says, listen, I'm not doing the college thing. Not doing it. My grandpa says I can run the shop when I turn 18. I've got my own truck. I got my clients here. I'm good. And my mom's like, no, you got to go to college. We saved all this money. You're one of the generations that don't have to do the military. He's like, I'm not doing military and I'm not doing college. I already got a plan.
Right.
Listening to him versus all these people who have 18 to 21-year-old sons that are like just floating off in space. I am so worried about the kids he will interact with, even at 18.
Right.
What do we do? Where do we kind of get these kids back on track, or what? Where
Ericka,
if job programs? What
if you figured that out, you'd be a billionaire. Because here's what I hate to sound political. Okay, view these kids as raw material being sent through a processing facility or assembly line. And the assembly line is the public schools. The public schools, it's a Democrat operating system. They're brainwashing these kids to become future Democrat voters. Now, somewhere along the line, there might be some education. You're reading, writing, and arithmetic. They do make opportunities for people to take AP courses, like in your case. So it is there. But and here's another tragic thing I hate to say: most parents don't love their kids that much. Most parents don't want to invest in their children. Most parents, what's the number one thing women are looking for? Daycare. Like it's disgusting. It's just disgusting. So most people don't care about their own kids. I mean, they love them, but they don't love them enough. They want to outsource the kids to daycare in the public schools. The public schools have no incentive to actually teach these kids like independent thought and how to be financially independent. Most of the public school teachers, most of the private school teachers, they themselves don't know how to make money or be independent because they're teachers. I've never left school since 5 years old. And then you have the media and marketing and sales arms of various producers and corporations that want to sell these people. And unfortunately, what the main value structure or system we're giving to young people today are the traits they are born with. And those traits could be your race, certainly your sex or gender as it pertains to women. We just got done with Pride Month. This is not to besmirch any of these individual groups of people, but I would say starting with the younger versions of my generation and certainly millennials and definitely Gen Z, you're sold that your traits that you were born with or choices that you whatever, that's the most important thing. No one is teaching them economics. No one is teaching them financial management. And so when they come out, what do? They become Greta Thunberg. They become David Hogg. I'm going to major in something to save the world. It's like, hey, you ought to be a plumber. Now, if you know a way to undo, what is it, K through 12 and then plus 4, that's 17 years of what I would say is at least 70% brainwashing. If you know how to convince these young people, one, they've been lied to their entire time. 2, their life plan was never going to work out. And 3, they got to reconstitute a whole new plan. You'll make billions. But your nephew is absolutely the exception to the rule. But he somewhere along the line there, he must have had good parents. Like your family, let's admit, is odd in a good way.
I dated this black guy and he said, you guys are a bunch of black Captain Americas, bunch of military conservative
you're all going to the military
cop folks.
Yeah, exactly. All right. You're like not 9 normal.
Cops in our family.
You are not normies. You're like the Super Friends, if you're old enough to remember that show, which I don't think you are.
No, maybe my brother. He's 8 years older.
Okay, so he probably knows what Super Friends is. But anyway, the point is the environment, probably your nephew's dad or somewhere along the line, probably the entrepreneurship that the guys that own the tire shop says, come over here and work. And he saw it. He saw it like, oh, I don't have to do this. The same thing would be like if you could get young men, and thankfully college has become such a hostile environment, such a bad financial proposition. Men just aren't going. So but at the same time, they're not going into the trades, but the trades would be an amazing and much more profitable alternative. And Mike Rowe, who's much taller, by the way, and a handsomer man and richer man than me. Thank you very much.
Mike Rowe is, I'm telling you. Yeah, you already hit it. Yeah, go ahead, do it.
Right. But he's tried to sell and get people to go into trades to no avail. So yes, we know the solution. You want to make a lot of money? Go become a truck driver. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to go to military. You want to make a lot of money? Become an electrician and show up sober and on time and do the job right. Because there's such a shortage, and you know this being in housing, there is such a shortage of skilled tradesmen, let alone professional ones that show up on time and do the job right. You don't have to go to college. But how do you explain that? I mean, right now, the average audience tuning in is probably 30 plus, I'd imagine. And how do you tell a 17-year-old kid who's had nothing but BS shoved up his dirt chute, that pie in the sky poppycock, that's all fake and a lie? So you're right, but how do we do it? I don't know. I tried with Worthless. I think maybe the internet is starting to turn it. Yeah, where guys are like, well, college isn't for me. But I don't think unless influencers, I guess that'd be the only way. Unless there's influencers like, say, a Josh Fluke.
Oh, that 19-year-old kid with the construction company?
Yeah, unless you get to the TikTok influencers, that's about the only way you're going to do it. But an old angry man who yells at clouds on his YouTube channel is not going to do it.
Speaking of which, something I started bringing up on here was account. I brought a guy in from TikTok, right? And he went through QuickBooks free program where if you could learn their software, you could do their stuff, you could do some slight bookkeeping. They would send you clients, either one or two ways. They send you clients you'd help them work through a QuickBooks issue, right? Basically be customer service, or you would actually be their bookkeeping or accountant, right? They'd open the door for that.
Sure.
And it was absolutely free. And QuickBooks, and I would tell people about it, and they're like, oh, I'm like, this kid is at 300, I think he's at $500,000 now, TikTokers following him because he did this process and made all this money off of QuickBooks. And I said, you guys are not listening to what they're saying in the news. They said we're going to need 10,000 accountants because you got all these football kids with the NIL deals. You got all these companies, the older boomers are retiring.
Yeah.
And then the IRS said they needed 80,000. So when people act like, oh, is accounting still getting jobs? I'm like, the IRS needs 80,000 of them. QuickBooks even said we need 10,000 independent of the IRS.
One of my best friends, he has a show. It's the Elkins Accounting Hour. And half the questions are careers in accounting. He's like, we are so short-staffed. Please go into accounting. Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here telling people, like, there it is right there. There's a great book I read. There's two. Pat Buchanan, who always gets terrible. The Decline of White America. He wrote this last book like a couple years ago. And then I read Disintegration of Black America. And there's these four categories, which will make sense to you for white or black. They have the abandonment class. They have the middle class, of course, the middle. They have the transcendent and the, you guys put in the chat what the other fourth one is. But long story short, you have these basketball players, these movie stars, these people, that doesn't matter to you. Those people are in a whole nother plane, a whole nother level. But you have this transcendent class, which are immigrants, business owners, mixed people, like people that are going bump race, bump all that stuff. I own a business. I make money. They're living a different America. You know what I mean? Then you have the middle, of course, that are struggling. But then at the bottom of this abandonment class, these are people who used to just go work at factories. These people just had a job coming out of high school. They didn't even have to finish high school. I don't know if you noticed back in New York in the 1960s and 70s in most of the United States, but mostly New York, they had trades in school. You could leave high school in New York, a plumber, a welder, and a, what's the other thing, you guys? Is it roofing?
Electrician?
Yeah, it was like electrician. Like you could do basics. And so you had all the black middle class in the 60s and 70s came out of these high schools. So when people act like, oh, trades don't make no money, I go, what are you talking about? If you know a black man over 50, he knows how to fix everything. Any black man under 50, good luck. You ask him to plug in a screw. He's like, what?
Yeah, well, no, but
climb on the
black men don't
ladder.
have a monopoly on that naivete. I will show you plenty of soy boy white guys who don't know how to
Yeah.
put in a light bulb too.
And so you're just sitting here like, we need about, if you read those two books alone, Decline of White America, Pat Buchanan, I know
Mm.
he gets a bad rep, and The Disintegration of Black America, I can tell you right now, we need at least, for the Black community at least, 2 million people to go into tech and blue collar trades.
Mhm. And not only that, and here's the thing, I get a kick out of it, where truck drivers is a perfect example. They say, trucking doesn't pay. I'll get all these emails from truckers when I promote trucking. They say, trucking doesn't pay. You can't, and trades don't pay jack. Blah, da, 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 da. I'm like, no. You don't understand. For people who are lazy and show up high on pot or drunk or don't work overtime or aren't willing to do the long haul, yeah, you're right. You're going to make your $16 an hour because you're crap. You're low grade. You're low quality. If you show up, if you show up on time and you do your job right and you are not high and you're not late, you're already in the top 10% of contractors. And you can charge $100, $150 an hour because you're worth it. Because all the other guys come in and they screw it up and it ends up costing people twice as much anyway. So it's not just, the trades, and you listen to all these pothead alcoholic dopes that don't know what a clock is and they don't know how to tell time. Yeah, those morons, they're the ones that like, I can't make any money. My boss is a dick. But if you're willing to go be your own boss or just show up on time and do it, you can easily make six figures within a couple of years experience. Easy.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna read this. Superstar Custom, thank you again. Superstar Systems is throwing money at us. He gave us another 20. I like the cut of this man's jib. Zero F's given. I'll pay extra if he comes to the boat party.
Is there a boat party?
Yeah, I always have a party every year. 19th, August 19th and 20th. It's in Austin, Texas. We lock down a whole winery for 4 hours and cut up and talk.
God.
And
boy.
And then we, on the 20th, we get on a double-decker boat in Lake Travis, Austin, Texas. And people don't realize how much water is here in Austin, because we have the aquifers here.
There's a lot. I drove through.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
And so he'll be at the boat party. So there'll be a ton of YouTubers at the boat party, you guys. Don't worry. Plenty. Aaron's famous now. He can't just show up anywhere without a security.
Do you know what's funny? Security. Yeah.
Tarky, thank you so much, King. He said put abandoned, mainstream, emergent, and transcendent. Yeah. Oprah is not caring about your issues. These basketball players don't care about your issues. They're living their life. But you can notice the Nigerian community, the Asian community, the Haitian.
Yeah.
If you actually look up the
hustlers.
The IRS said that Haitians and Koreans come to America on average penniless. And in 3 years, they're millionaires on paper when they do their taxes. This is
what about
IRS.
Jamaicans? How did Jamaicans, the Dominican Republic, how do they come in?
I know they do well. I know when we looked at we brought up here on Wikipedia, it's broken down by like races and stuff. White people are number 17th, right? There's a bunch of people before white people, like Ukrainians and everybody else.
We have got to go major in political science and environmental studies to tell the rest of the world how to live. Even though we're bankrupt and penniless and poor and in debt, we gotta get our master's degrees in lecturing studies. See, Brandy's good looking. Where are all these hot chicks you got? How the hell?
Brandy is an accountant. She just said QuickBooks Pro Advisor program. And then Brandy said, yep, the shortage is so bad. I just stole 3 accountants from another company.
Hang on. What QuickBook? What was the name of that thing?
It's called, I've been talking about it for years now, but it's QuickBooks Pro Advisor program.
Pro Advisor.
They've been trying hard, especially with the PPP and the pandemic. They tried hard to get people to come in, even in taxes now. Many people that do taxes are leaving that industry and doing resolution because it's more money, where they go back and fix your tax, like whatever you filed your
delinquent taxes or something.
Or your claim is wrong, or you're like 5 years ago something was wrong and now they got to go back and fix it. That's what they do.
Any of you with a little bit of experience at accounting, you might also look at becoming an enrolled agent. That's another not college option where they need people. They need people to do people's taxes. So look at the enrolled agent program.
All right. There's several truckers in here saying they make 80. Okay.
Yeah, because they're willing to do the long haul. Yeah. Those are real guys. Yeah.
Sherry said, show up sober, on time, and do the job right. You can write your own ticket.
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh my God, what else? What else? Yeah, Mike Rowe's Dirty Jobs is coming back. He was tired
Is
of
it?
doing it. And
Yeah.
then they were just like, please, we'll pay you millions. Please come back. It was the best show they've ever had. It has the best, highest rewatch. The companies so what you would do is as a company, you would say, hey, our jobs are dirty. Like, we totally need employees. Come
Right.
do a show. So they would call you and see, and then they would send them. And those companies would be so flooded with employees
Good.
after those shows came out
Good.
that, people are just begging for it. So
My mom, she has a huge crush on Mike Rowe. She's like, I will sell you into slavery for Mike Rowe. I'm like, okay, I love you too, Mom.
it's because he's fun. He used to do the voiceover stuff at night, like
He
voiceovers and all that other
he
radio talk.
not only that, he was in opera on a lark.
Wow.
Yeah, him and his buddy were in Philadelphia. I think it's Philadelphia. And the opera house was right across. I think they had open auditions and they made a bet. And I bet you couldn't do it. So he went in there. Who knew he had a voice? And he actually was singing opera or symphony or something like that. So yeah, Mike he's not just your blue collar guy with a hat. He's very interesting fellow with an interesting background.
A crazy part is we have a guy come on called Michael Sneed on the
Mhm.
channel. His name is Appliance Boot Camp Repair. Dude sold a ton of courses, a ton of live trainings. So the average person doesn't know how to fix anything. So
Mhm.
handyman businesses, because you don't have to get all these licenses, can kind of come in and do a lot of work that used to be done by the trades, right? Like,
Right.
Ring cameras, installing stuff, fixing small minor stuff. And then they have this cool thing where all these companies, remember Sears and all the JCPenney, those people, they had
Sure.
all these appliances you bought.
Mhm.
Well, these appliances have warranties. So a handyman can come in, take the part off, send it to the people it needs to be sent to, and they'll send him a new part and he'll put the part on.
Right.
And all these companies pay for it because all these warranties are still valid all these
Mhm.
years later. And so he was showing how like he can get these guys in handyman making, hundreds of dollars a day just
Mhm.
replacing parts.
I have a buddy who he was an engineer. He dropped out to go and watch over his kids. Look out, he raises kids. Oh, who knew? But because there's such a lack of reliable tradesmen, he was thinking about he is called the honeydew list. And he's like, because all these gals want their husband to fix things. The husbands either don't know how or they don't have time. And he's like, yeah, we start coming up with things, what your husband won't do.com. And there's a little sexy angle to it. Shows up. And
Careful, you might get some crazy emails.
No, I'm not against helping out all the MILFs and cougars of the neighborhood whose husbands aren't fixing things. But but seriously, no joke, he could make some money on that. Simply because a lot of stuff, but there's money laying all around. You just got to bend up and pick it up is what you got to do.
Pretty much. What was my last one? I had a list here. Okay. Well, doggone it. Well, I think I was going to say something about van life. So I went to Yellowstone National Park, and the year before when I went by myself, it was just a ton of vans everywhere. Van life. You could tell people living in the vans. And I went this year, and it was like all the restaurants are like, we're struggling. The van kids, the transplant kids didn't come back. They didn't drive back over here. And our family left on Friday, Aaron, and the flooding happened Saturday. So I'm like, thank God we left Friday.
The flooding in Yellowstone?
Yellowstone, in the Mountain China,
yeah.
And so, but what's so crazy is like the minimalism. There's a difference between being minimalist because you're knowledgeable, makes sense, and minimalism because you're broke.
Right.
If you try to get in one of these vans and you're broke and you don't have a plan, that's a dangerous job. That's dangerous.
Right.
What can you tell some of these people? Because I know you have the book Bachelor Pad Economics. What is something you can kind of talk to some of these van and life people? Because a lot of them end up going to like middle of nowhere towns and buying a little house, which makes sense to me. A little cheap house.
Well, that's not bad. That's kind of, you're doing it good. The key difference is that you're minimalist by choice, or a minimalist because you're being forced to. And what that indicates is your income side of the formula needs work. Now, every young person, unless you had rich parents, I was forced to be a minimalist because I didn't have rich parents and I had to support myself and I had no skills, just like any other 18-year-old boy. And that is actually a blessing. Because then you, especially coming out of high school, I don't know what it's like with high school now, but going to high school in the 80s and the early 90s, everything was materialism. You had to have the right shoes, you had the right clothes, the right
Mm-hmm.
this. And then you get out and you think, oh, I got to go to the mall. This is when we had malls. And I got to buy all the things and the stuff. And then you realize after a year or two, like, no, what I need is food. And I don't need all this crap. Oh, by the way, if all I need is food, clothing, and shelter, I don't need that much money. So it is kind of a good thing if you starve a little bit and if you're genuinely poor, because then you inoculate yourself. You become immune to the desires of materialism and worthless crap. But that does not absolve you of working on your income side.
Mm-hmm.
Because if, let's say you're getting by on $15 an hour, okay, yeah, you could do that. But what if your alternator goes out? Well, this is where it's good to have some kind of income, some kind of skill, and some kind of trade. So the ideal situation is you have $20,000 a year taste, but with a $70,000 or $100,000 income.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not like going and buying because then what you can afford is basically an ease of life, freedom. Yeah. So, okay, I'm doing van life, but you make $60,000 and you go to Yellowstone, right? Your truck needs a new your van needs a transmission. That's a $4,000 job. You're okay. You can handle that. As opposed to somebody who does not make $60,000 a year, goes out to Yellowstone, doesn't know how auto maintenance works. They get hit with a $4,000 thing. They might have to abandon their van. And now they got to hitchhike back because they don't have the money and they don't have that. So a lot of people, I don't think they understand how much it costs to live. As it pertains to van life, you have to do some vehicle maintenance. And that also addresses things like learning how to fix your own stuff, fix your own computer, build your own house, fix your own van and things like that. But all that becomes minimalism is a lot easier when you're making a lot of money too. So just because you're a minimalist doesn't mean you don't have to go get a skill or a trade or some income anymore. It just means you need less labor working. So still go out, go become an accountant, go become a mechanic, do whatever it is. But the main reason you do that is so that you can be free. You have more hours per week to do as you want. And not to mention the lack of worry because you have the money to cover various expenses and normal things are going to pop up in life.
So my last question, of course, is retirement for you. Poor Richard's retirement, but I'm gonna read off this last couple ones and then we'll do Poor Richard's retirement and that'll be our closeout. Fresh said, I made over 110,000 last year as a letter carrier. We have carriers making 150,000. Men going their own way by logic. Flatbed truckers can make 150,000 a year. This is true, but it's work. It makes you have to actually get out the truck and throw the straps over.
Chains on.
Like,
yep, you gotta know what you're doing. I gotta get out. And you know what? You might have to get up early.
Gotta get up early. I gotta put these straps on. Yeah. That sucks. This one right here. Thank you for the $20 super chat. You guys are very much blessing me today. Thank you so much. I appreciate all super. I think we are at $400 in super chats.
Really?
$300 in super chat because I keep missing the small $5 ones that are popping up in between. I apologize, you guys. I'm not missing you. I see you. It's just a lot of you guys really blew up the chat today.
You guys could tune into my show too if you want to like toss some money around. You want to see a grumpy old white man just complain about things.
You have very interesting topics, so I always tell people like it. I will look over and your titles will just crack me up, and I'll just go click on it. I'll go let me listen to this. The Credit Solutions, thank $20 super chat. Folks will always need someone to count their money, build their homes, and repair their cars. I'm not Barb the Builder. IT or physical work. Pick a side and make it work, gentlemen. You guys are very funny today. Somebody says, she says she watches you from the shadows.
The shadows.
She's scared to comment over there. I don't care. I comment over there. I don't be scared. Okay. Someone said, I'm reading The Curse of the High IQ. Life changed for me. Learn why I always felt like an alien.
Yeah.
John, aren't you in Minnesota, John? Are you in Wisconsin? Which one are you in there, John?
You should leave either case. It's cold.
He's military retired veteran. He's going to go somewhere, but he doesn't know where yet.
All right. I'd recommend Nevada, Texas, Tennessee, South Dakota, obviously.
Somebody says, I've been telling people that we make money at the post office. I'm not telling them anymore. I remember my friend she makes 6 figures in the Charlotte post office. Yeah. It was Christmas time. And she's not a short woman. She's like 5'10". She was walking by and the mail was higher than her. Wow. The union bosses were like, if you're union, get out of here now. If your time is at 40 hours, leave the building. So she's walking by as the mail is high as freaking day, and all the temps and like the seasonal people were in there just slaving away.
Hustle. Good.
And I'm like, good gracious. So, the post office makes money, you guys. I'm never, I bring
Good
on text
exercise
Tuesday.
too. You ever see a fat postal worker?
My aunt lost 50 pounds. She
Yep.
decided to be a post worker in her second retirement job.
Yep.
She did the outside walking, the old folks
Mhm.
areas, putting the mail in the box at the door. Lost 50 pounds in a summer.
Ooh.
We were so concerned. We're like, you're
the-
gonna have a heart attack.
UPS woman, she shows up. I'm like, how you doing? Holy cow! Like she's in shape.
Strong.
Yep.
Oh, he said he's in Minnesota and he's moving to Texas.
Good.
Man, listen. Good luck. Let me know what part of Texas you're up to. But you guys, so my last one is Poor Richard's Retirement. I thought this was a great book. I tried to talk to people about it, but I don't know if that one did really well or not. I don't know. Can you kind of go over Poor Richard's Retirement for the people here, and we'll close it out with retirement?
Yeah, Poor Richard's Retirement was basically acknowledging the fact that the majority of people, particularly boomers, did not have enough money saved up for retirement, 70%, and that the current retirement system we have with 401ks, IRAs is not working. And so what I did is I said, okay, how can we make this accessible retirement a realistic possibility or likelihood for the average American? And so what it does is it borrows heavily from minimalism and says, look, okay, the main reason most of the boomers couldn't retire or can't retire because they're still alive is because they bought a bunch of worthless crap. Things like McMansions, vacation homes, vehicles is huge. But then more modernly for younger people, obviously you throw in college degrees that are worthless. And I did the math. I say, look, if you get rid of all this crap and you only buy what you need and you stay out of debt, here's what you really need to retire. And so it was more, I don't know if you've ever read Jacob Lundfisker's Early Retirement Extreme or know of him. But he was very mathematical. He came up Early Retirement Extreme. I strongly recommend you get that book because he does the math like to I think he's an accountant because it was very, very frankly anal. Mine is more, okay, like you could tell people the numbers all day, but you need an incentive. You need a path, a purpose in which to do that. And that's where Poor Richard's Retirement is, where it's like, okay, here is how you get to that. Stop buying cars. You never buy a car, lease, or loan. You pay cash. You never buy a new car. Never. I've never bought a new car. I never will buy a new car. It's a horrible deal. Never get more house than you can afford. But then you have to have an incentive. You first have to deprogram yourself from all the materialistic programming you get from school on. You have to give up this, I'm going to keep up with the Joneses and have prestige and be the cool person at the party. You got to give up on all that pride and start asking what's really important in life. And there, I can't really answer the question for people. I have some theories and speculations because I don't want to give the whole book away. But that is where it's like, okay, well, what do you live for if not stuff? And I try to address that question in that book as well. So you have fuel in the tank to go and manifest the numbers that you would see in Early Retirement Extreme. And there's certainly some numbers and examples that I provide in Poor Richard's Retirement. But that's basically the book where it's like why you should give up on materialism.
You guys, there you go. Listen, if you wanted to learn how to retire, if you wanted to figure out that closing gap here in Texas, which is if you come through Austin, you'll see it. We are up 35. We just have hundreds of boat and RV storage everywhere. And I'm telling you, like they actually have a indicator when they start buying RV sales go down. It's an indicator of recession in our economy.
Wow, really?
And I said, that's how insane. Yeah, because when the oil and gas took a hit, RV sales took a hit, right? When interest rates went up, RV sales took a hit. When it's crazy. They pretty much can track when we're about to go into recession off RV sales. RV sales are so I mean, I hate to say unnecessary. Kind of it's kind of like a luxury thing. And I was telling people in the last show where my doctor's office is, it's attached to this fertility clinic, right? And that place is just hot cakes jumping. Austin's rich money, right?
Right.
But fertility treatments, all that stuff is like 50K, 70K a pop. This is not cheap stuff.
Yeah, very pricey.
And
Yes.
they've been super empty the last couple of doctor's appointments been. I was like, that's how you know the economy's hitting a little funny mark,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
even the rich
very
folks are like, we'll wait on some of those adoptee babies to come out of this.
interesting.
Like, we'll wait. But yeah, there's people in the chat saying they work in auto and marketing, and they know it's coming. So yeah, my Forerunner, I bought it used for like 27,000 right before prices went absolutely insane.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Because there are people paying $50,000 for vehicles. I got on the phone today. Somebody paid $50,000 for their Jeep Cherokee. I said, what does this Jeep Cherokee have? They're like, it has everything. It has this. I'm like, there's nothing this Jeep Cherokee could have that you couldn't have bought an older model and added.
Unless it has Eva Mendes in it, I'm not paying $50,000 for any vehicle. And it better be an agreeable Eva Mendes. I don't want a
feisty Latina.
A feisty. Well, I want an agreeable, compliant Eva Mendes. I don't want a disagreeable one.
But yeah, y'all, that's retirement can be as simple as you make it. It's really a math problem. It's really a math problem, and man, thank you for being on.
Thanks for having me.
You're hilarious to me. I think more people ought to see our stuff, but you know how the Skynet works sometimes. But I think it's really important for you guys. Retirement, cut the crap, dude. Like, you guys can walk away from these jobs, these houses, these places if you just cut.
You don't have that. God, it just they don't get it. But man, just and I guess the only thing I could say is don't. And it's hard because it starts so young. But if you can just not fall for the materialism, like college degrees, fancy clothes, $50,000 vehicles that do not have Eva Mendes in them.
It's insane.
Yeah, the less money you need, the more free you will be. That's basically it.
Hey, you guys, if you love this stream, drop a 1 in the comments now. And when the show done rendering, put in the comment section that was a great stream. I see you guys loved it. There's so much chat. I apologize for any super chats I didn't read. You guys were going crazy today, but we're here an hour and 36 minutes, and I want to be respectful of Aaron's time to go lay out in the sun. But I
wish I get to frame put one of those things up to hook up a TV mount. I get to mount a TV. I get to be masculine and do carpentry work, basically.
Well, next week I'll be in Las Vegas, and we'll be going to the Red Rocks.
Yeah,
and we will be going to hike at this other place. So
in summer.
Well, we're going at like 6 a.m. in the morning. It's
oh yeah, you're gonna have to.
It's like 6 a.m. in the morning. We're gonna go see Lake Mead at like 7:30 in the morning. Okay. So it's all really early morning stuff, like right as the daylight comes out, kind of thing. So it's just the people we're going with. They're like, we're gonna go really early, and we're gonna do things at night, and that's it.
Yeah, no, you have to. So drink water. Don't die of heat stroke or anything out there.
You guys were closing the show. Stop with the super chats. All right. This one said, ITLDYI hacks. Thank you for the $20 super chat. He says, great show with great information. Listen, you guys, I call this show the money show just for today, but like, I'm gonna chop up a lot of this and put it out in segments so you guys can see it all. But thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem.
If you need anything, let us know. If you need anything from us over here, we'd love to support your channel. So
yeah, just visit my channel. That's about it. Yeah, say hi to me. Yeah.
We got one more, and then guys, stop it. I'm serious. That's the last super chat. Don't super chat again.
Stop throwing the $20 bills. Oh no, not the money. Anything but more money. Oh.
Because I try to read them before I go off air. Okay, thank you for this great talk. I always learn so much. Please bring him back. We're going to miss you when you go on vacation, Ericka. Yeah, I'm going over to Croatia and Budapest, you guys, and Montenegro for a month. I'm going to be gone. Greece, basically riding the train. Greece, Montenegro, Budapest. No, Croatia, then Budapest. So I'll be over there. But yeah, you guys are funny. He's talking about, stop giving me money. Thank you, Aaron. Again, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Social media. If you the easiest thing is Aaron Clarey, just search me. My main flagship products or sites would be assholeconsulting.com if you have questions. My YouTube channel where you can see all the consultations. It's more like a Dear Abby format. People send in questions, they pay. I answer it predominantly via video. Also, I have all my podcasts there on the YouTubes. and all my different books you could find on Amazon just searching my name. A good 3/4 of which are finance and investing related.
Awesome. You guys, again, Asshole Consulting, Aaron Clarey, the grumpiest Gen Xer that we've ever had. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you guys hit the like button as we leave. Later.
Bye.
All right.